into the night. I want you to blaze into the light before you final flight. Before you find.
Not as bad as IKEA, but fuck IKEA. You kidding me? They're way worse. IKEA needs to come with a kid just to help put that shit together. Somebody gotta hold these sides, bro. God damn. Can I go home now? I don't know, man. That's a lot of leftover pieces. You sure you didn't skip any steps? There's always so many leftover pieces after an IKEA project, isn't there? You look at a final IKEA piece like, I guess that's it. And you find out you messed up on step 8 of 49. You're like, I guess we just don't have a bottom shelf. It is what it is. We'll put tall stuff there. Guys, relax. Still me. Remember the dude who's been telling jokes for 45 minutes? Still just a joke. This is why comedy is the most frustrating job in the world. It's because this is the only job in the world that I would have to reiterate to y'all what I'm doing, that I'm just kidding. I don't mean this shit that comes out of my mouth. Rappers don't have to do that. Rappers are literally like, I fucked your bitch and killed your family. And y'all are just like, ah! They don't gotta be like, I'm just rapping, y'all. I wouldn't do nothing like that. I'm David, you know me. I wouldn't do nothing like that. So hypocritical, man. That's the one thing comedians do have over rappers, is freedom of speech. It's kind of like an unwritten rule in comedy, right? Like, you can joke about messed up stuff as long as it's funnier than it is messed up. And rappers don't get that kind of leeway. It's not fair. Like, if they admit to a crime they did on beat, they still go to jail. I don't think that's fair. Respect the artistry. Give them a chance, okay? I think if you can make a doper song than the charges you're trying to beat, you get to go home. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. All spectrums of crime, too. Can you imagine Ted Bundy in court, and they're like, you're going to jail forever, and he's like, well, wait till you hear this shit. It's a little song I call I Eat the Pussy Up, starring J. Doms. Because he's a cannibal. Okay, that one was a tough sell. That's fine. I understand. Let's see if we can get y'all back with something a little bit more level-headed that we can all kind of get on board with. Gun control? Why not, right? Can't be worse than the Wayfair shit. It is. This is way worse. If that one wasn't your shit, buckle up. This is a lot harder one to tackle. Gun control is so tricky because I see both sides. I do understand. I understand the amendment, everyone's right to have a gun. That makes sense to me, especially when it comes to things like protection or providing for your family. That makes sense. But at the same time, not everybody gets a gun, right? That's crazy. You all know somebody, you're like, this motherfucker should not have a gun, right? It's so easy to be irresponsible with a gun. When's the last time you held a gun and didn't do this shit? People freak out every time. Like, no, don't. Like, I wouldn't, but would I? It's a timeless bit. That shit has been funny for centuries. I think it's so easy to be irresponsible with a gun that I think a simple interim solution would be, it just needs to be a little bit harder to get the gun. That's all I suggest. I think there's so many tiers to responsibility you should have to surpass before you can have a gun. That's all I suggest. And I'm not even proposing anything difficult. Simple shit. Like, if you haven't had sex yet, straight up, no gun. Okay, that is way too much power for you. How are you gonna pull a trigger before you've had to pull out? Like, that takes discipline, and I need to see you in a moment of crisis, okay? Can you handle the power? Do you realize if something as simple as that was implemented, if something as simple as having sex was a requirement for getting a registered firearm, what kind of impact that would have on the entire problem? School shootings would drop off almost completely. Have you ever seen pictures of these kids who shoot up schools? They are so fucking ugly. You kind of get it a little bit. Like, they weren't fucking. There has never been a handsome school shooter that they were like, he was gonna be prom king. Like, never once. Never. No one has time to write a manifesto and get pussy. That's science, okay? It's too much detail. Look, I'm well aware that school shootings is a very hard thing to try to make funny. But we're gonna try. And I feel like I owe the explanation as to like why would I joke about something this fucked up? And the reason being is it's sort of my coping mechanism. I try to make light of terrible situations, and luckily through humor, so that I'm not sad every fucking day. Because what's the first thing you do when you wake up every morning? You check your phone, right? Probably get on Twitter, or some sort of news. Yeah, you get caught up. Doesn't it feel like there's something negative immediately? There's so much negativity in front of our faces daily that I can't imagine living any kind of life where I don't have an outlet for that negativity. It just festers inside of me and makes me a miserable human being. If I have an outlet through humor, I'm gonna use it. You be miserable, not me. Now, I respect that that's not for everybody. That's not how everybody's brain works. Like, I had a woman furious one time. She stood up in the middle of a show one time when I was doing some other school shooting material, and she was furious. She stood up and was like, "You shouldn't do jokes about school shootings." And I was like, "Why?" She was like, "Because what if it happened to you? What if you lost your kid in a school shooting incident? Could you make jokes about it then?" And I was like, oh, this bitch. It's like context, you know what I mean? It's a comedy show. Clearly, everything I'm saying is hypothetical. Like, I'm not talking about this in a literal sense, especially because I don't have any fucking kids, okay? So it's not something I have to think about on a daily basis. But it's something I had never taken into consideration. So it did fuck me up a little bit. I had to take a step back as a man and as a comedian and actually ask myself, like, if I lost my kid in a school shooting incident, could I ever make jokes about it? And the answer is yeah. It's a hard yes for me, okay? That is for sure how I would heal through that traumatic experience. Are you kidding me? Second of all, it's my kid. That's fucking fair game, okay? There is no way I'm not killing it at that funeral. Like, he was never good at hide and seek. Like, come on, man. That shit is too easy, bro. The kids don't play the games anymore. It's easier targets. Hashtag bring back hide and seek. I like this topic only because it creates such a divide racially between black people and white people when it comes to the topic of school shootings, because it's usually us. And black people love to joke all the time. They love to be like, oh, you know, it's all the white kids shooting up all the schools. You know, shooting up the schools, a white kid's sport. I hear that joke all the time. Shooting up the schools, a white kid's sport. It's funny. It's a good joke. Until you think about the history of sports. Because if I know anything about the history of sports, it's that if white people are good at it now, black people are going to be way better at it someday. Somebody got to be Wilt. Somebody got to come in and change the game. Some of you aren't laughing because it's fucked up, and some of you are because you're like, he's right. They're going to be faster. They're going to be stronger. And canceled. Awesome. Oh, cancel culture. We gotta chill out. With the cancel culture stuff, we gotta chill out. The spectrum's too broad. I don't have time to care about everything because you make such a big deal about nothing that it takes all of my attention away from the stuff we actually should be canceling and actually should be upset about. And it's so frustrating. Like, just pick and choose, man. And stop digging up people's old tweets and shit. Straight up. I think it's the most bitch-made thing you could possibly do. Because I'm a big believer that as times change, people change. A lot of the time for the better. Not always, obviously there's exceptions, but a lot of the times. Like, there's so many examples of it in American history in and of itself. You could look at someone like Malcolm X. Malcolm X spent 10 years in prison for robbery and larceny. Got out, went on to become a civil rights activist that literally changed the fucking world. Maya Angelou used to be a prostitute. Went on to be... The fuck is so funny about that? What white motherfucker in the back laughing at what I read in February, huh? He laughed like he hit. Like, you know what I mean? God damn. She was a prostitute. She went on to become a poet, an author, another civil rights activist that, again, changed the fucking world. Chance the Rapper. Used to make good music. As times change, people change, right? Not always for the better. I miss acid rap. That's all I'm saying. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because it happened to me. A few years ago, somebody who didn't like me went online and they dug up a bunch of tweets of mine from when I was 15 years old. And when I was 15 years old, as I mentioned, I was born and raised in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Ohio. Like, I didn't know shit about shit. I couldn't have been more ignorant. And anybody who says they didn't do or say some shit when they were 15 years old that they shouldn't have done or don't regret is a liar. Okay, that's the time in your life you're supposed to make mistakes so you learn from them, you grow from them, you don't go on to make those same mistakes when you're a responsible adult, yeah? So when I was 15 years old, I was going back and forth on Twitter with my best friend, Brendan. Now, Brendan and I have been best friends since preschool, since 4 years old. He's my next door neighbor, and Brendan also happened to be black. So Brendan and I were going back and forth on Twitter one day, and this is when Twitter was like the group chat. You know what I mean? You were just saying crazy shit in there, because it was just y'all. You didn't think anybody was going to care 8 years later. So we were going back and forth on Twitter, just roasting each other, right? He would say something, I would say something. He would say something, I would say something. And then he said some shit that really had me fucked up. Because when I was 15, I also had Ohio teeth. Like, I had a big gap in the middle, I had little gaps on the side. My teeth were fucked up. And Brendan said some shit like, you're the only person I know who can eat food without opening their mouth. And 15-year-old me was shook. I was like, God damn, that's a finisher right there. So the roast battle was clearly over, so I conceded, and I had responded back with a very famous Chief Keef lyric at the time from the song Don't Like. So the conversation went, you're the only person I know who can eat food without opening their mouth. And I responded, fuck, that's that shit I don't like. Now, if you're familiar with the song, you would know I had tweeted the N-word in the song lyrics to my friend. And this was incredibly wrong. This was ignorant, naive, and stupid. I wish I had never done it. And when this resurfaced, people lost their fucking mind. I'm sorry. White people lost their fucking mind. They couldn't believe it. They thought I had just gotten away with being racist for 8 years. They were like, what? You can't say that. You're not black. You're not in the car by yourself. Like, they thought I had just found a loophole in racism and squeaked through the cracks. And black people couldn't believe that I knew who Chief Keef was. That was the biggest uproar amongst the black community. They were like, he fucks with Sosa? I had no idea. It was instant outrage amongst the whites, okay?